Hey everyone, welcome to the Big Fitness Show, episode 021. We're still shooting for 100 episodes early on. Today, I do the intro, but I'm going to sit back with this big, hopefully, does it have water? I think so. This big thing of water, and that's my Philly accent. Did you notice that, Mike?
I
Water,
did.
water,
Water,
water.
water.
My wife tells me to say it all day long, the word water. But today, I'm not going to mispronounce this, but there are misconceptions and misunderstandings about episode 021 today, talking about CrossFit from a 101, from a basic, from a beginner, not even beginner perspective. I'm talking about me. I'm going to have some questions. And Mike, while he says he's not the authority on CrossFit, he's not the end all be all, nor would you say the CrossFit Bible.
Yeah,
We're
definitely not.
going to get a lot of valuable information, and we're going to hopefully overcome a lot of stereotypes and misconceptions about CrossFit. We have my co-host here, still the much bigger. How you doing?
Yeah, man. Hey, how's it going? It's good to have this conversation today. I'm excited to talk about CrossFit because I think it does get a bad rap, and I want to dispel some of those things. And I'm excited to do that. But before we do that, I got a question for you. Two things. How's the recovery coming? I saw you walking on a treadmill, which is awesome. I saw that. So how's the recovery coming? Are you still medium Stevie Cool, or are you getting to be schmedium Stevie Cool?
No, I'm Abercrombie and Fitch model weight right now, 185. So I'm not gaining too much weight. I'm not overdoing the cardio. My cardio has been very maybe I did 30 minutes on that treadmill that you just saw in the Instagram story. But most of my stuff, man, I'm enjoying the air bike. I'm enjoying the Teeter Power 10, but I'm also cutting my cardio down to anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes and focusing. I've been working out a lot with that Soul Fitness Servo, that platform trainer.
Yeah.
Just the instability of the resistance is really like I'm addicted to the thing as far as getting the pump differently than I do from a standard all-in-one trainer. But I have from assembling all this stuff all this week, the cold plunge and the treadmill, my lower back is feeling that's the first
That
bit of pain, but not like I have before. Just
sure.
if you bend over, you're picking it up. And Soul Fitness ST90, that treadmill, it's like an assault runner, but it's motorized. Doesn't have the wheels to move it around easily. So it's a one big negative on the treadmill. The big positives are it's so much more comfortable than a regular belt tread. It has the slat belts,
Yeah.
so much more comfortable. Ergonomically, it feels great, and I don't feel my back when I'm on it. So,
Oh,
long
that's
story
awesome.
short, recovery's going well, but I'm reminded by assembling the stuff I assembled that I'm still very early in the fusion process, which once again, good timing with CrossFit talking
Yeah.
broken backs and everything. Should we start with that misconception that you
Yeah,
have
sure.
your spine doing CrossFit? Let's hook them right away.
Well, yeah, that was definitely the next question that I was going to ask you about is what were your thoughts and your impressions of CrossFit the first time you heard it, first time you saw it? And over the years, you've made comments to me about blowing out your knees and breaking your back and all that kind of stuff. So I want to address that and kind of ask you, what are your thoughts? What were your initial thoughts on CrossFit before I started talking about how good it is?
Well, in this world we live in, you're always going to be at a point somewhere where you're going to think it's cool to, judge something that you know nothing
Mm-hmm.
about, or
Sure.
look at something and kind of like put out a nice little funny meme, which CrossFit has some of the best ones out there.
Tons of them.
But we're 21 episodes in, and we've been like really close friends since the beginning and before this when we wanted to start this. And just little bits of information that you give me, the overarching thing, not so much the physical, but I think the mental, emotional, even you can consider the spiritual um, benefits of doing it. Being around a group of people that encourage you, nobody judges anybody. It's kind of like a hardcore Planet Fitness type thing, I would say, right?
Sure. Sure.
Since
That's
you're
fair.
not going to be judged, you're not going to come in there trying to, and I'm sure you have people that come in saying, what's this CrossFit all about? And they have a
Yeah.
preconceived notion. Um, but I still do think there's an element of risk that's there to where I won't be doing any CrossFit until probably that day when my back is fused and I'm able to go to Illinois or you come to Florida and I say, okay, we're going to film my first CrossFit workout.
Sure,
Be
sure.
excited about that. Um, I've grown, I've matured.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I
No,
want
no,
to like
long story short, I should never down anything or judge anything negatively when someone's getting up, getting their
Mm,
clothes on, getting into their vehicle and making a conscious effort to be part of a group in public and give their best effort in a workout.
sure.
Not gonna not gonna judge that. I think it's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. And like, I was trying to get out of you that it was not exactly the best thing in the world when you first saw it, because that's how I felt too. When I first started hearing about CrossFit, it was like, what is this? And then it was obvious. I've been a bodybuilder, and that's the kind of training that I did forever. And it was just do my bodybuilding, do my cardio, and that was all I stuck to. And then when I started hearing about CrossFit, it was so new. It was just like, what is this? What are these people doing? Who's drinking the Kool-Aid? What's this cult going on in the CrossFit? Right. And that's the misconception that pretty much everybody has the first time that they hear about it, if you've come from a fitness space. But just to give everybody a quick little background on why I am a fan of CrossFit now, I've been in the supplement world for a decade, and that was kind of my introduction into CrossFit. I'd always taken supplements, been a fitness guy, wrestling, all that kind of stuff. But 10 years ago, I got into the supplement world. One of the guys that I was working with was a CrossFitter, and he introduced me to the CrossFit world. And so then I started going to gyms and talking about supplements at gyms and things like that, and just got to see the whole ethos of CrossFit in person and got to see exactly what it was. And in that time, I've seen a lot of good, I've seen a lot of bad, I've seen a lot of stupid, I've seen a lot in the CrossFit world. But it's the thing that I've come to appreciate about CrossFit is what it can actually do for your health long term. And that's where this misconception, and I'm hoping that today in our conversation, we can kind of put aside some of the misconceptions that people have about CrossFit with my limited knowledge of it. I'm not a gym owner, I'm not a CrossFit coach or anything like that. So I just see it. I've done CrossFit. I don't do it religiously, but I add a lot of the elements into my workouts and stuff like that. And so I just kind of want to talk about some of the good, the bad, the ugly, and address the stereotypes up front. Like, I felt the same way. I've met a lot of douchebags in CrossFit, and that's a lot of times I will hear that from bros who don't know CrossFit at all. They think CrossFitters are douchebags, but the reality is a lot of the bros are douchebags. And so it's just funny that the misconceptions that people have about stuff. And then another misconception that people have is they see some of the movements and they see some of the workouts and they're like, oh man, that'd blow out my knee. Oh man, that'd blow up my back. I'd break my back if I did that. Or why do you lift all those weights over your head and all that kind of stuff? There's no need to do that. And people instantly judge what it is just by what they see. But then when you actually really look at it, it's not that. And some of the judgment is warranted because there are some gyms that totally focus on doing things unsafely and just lift as much weight as you can, regardless of form, which isn't true CrossFit, in my opinion, because that's not what CrossFit's about. CrossFit's about teaching you proper movements, proper mechanics, so you can move your body and all those kinds of things. So that was all. I just wanted to get kind of your initial take on the bad and the misconceptions that are out there in CrossFit. And I'm sure a lot of people have had other misconceptions about it too.
Well, I think you sell yourself short, as we both do. We talk about it on after the show. But you've been with X Endurance, and when you were on the road and you were traveling, most of what you traveled to was a lot of CrossFit gyms. So you have a better idea, comparison wise, of the full scope of what's the spectrum of really bad CrossFit gyms to really good. You could probably, that this just putting out there, maybe this is the idea, you could write an annual guide on CrossFit gym.
Oh,
Rating them. And you could be like
maybe.
you could be like the AAA, or maybe you can invest in an ambulance stock company or something like that. That is there. There, I got to stick in my little jokes here and there.
Hey, no, it's all good,
But,
man.
but
And
okay, let's start with this. I
yeah.
think this idea is great. Let's do a little bit of role play.
Okay.
Hey, you've been in enough CrossFit gyms to know the process when a new person who has no experience walks in. So
Mhm.
I walk into the CrossFit gym. Maybe I have some workout experience, but really, when you're talking about, we all live in our little comfort zone. So even with my workout of cardio, weights, core stuff, whatever it is, you fall into
Mhm.
a lull, not even a groove, a lull, the opposite, where you're just going through the motions. So essentially, if I walked into a CrossFit gym, I'm starting over from square one of everything. This is an entirely new world to me.
Mhm.
How would you like? What would the first, say, 5 minutes of a new CrossFit member look like when they walk in? What can I expect?
Well, okay. So the
Or
good,
I'm a good and a bad one. Can we do
yeah.
that? Okay.
Yeah, the bad. Let's do the bad first. The bad CrossFit gyms and the bad coaches and the bad owners and stuff will just kind of be like, "Oh, okay, you look like you work out. Let's just throw you in here," and they won't do anything to get you into the workout. They won't do any kind of assessment or anything like that. They'll just throw you into the workout and expect you to know what you're doing. And then I've seen bad CrossFit gyms where the coach is half paying attention, but they have their favorites in the class, and so they'll pay more attention to the favorites in the class than they will to the new person, and then the new
By the
person
way,
will be
that's the
kind of
number one rule against any personal trainer or group class instruction. You always give the most amount of attention to the newest people
yeah,
and the most at risk,
right,
or the most
totally,
limited.
totally.
That's weird. That's like the number one. You
Yeah.
don't do any of what you just mentioned.
Right, right. And so to see that, that's those are the bad gyms. And that's a bad gym in general. That's just not a bad CrossFit gym. That's a bad gym, a bad trainer. And so then they pay attention to their favorites, and then they don't take the time with the new person to actually teach them the movements and actually have them be successful. And so then that's where the stereotype of, well, I tried CrossFit and I got hurt or whatever, because they didn't take the time to teach the person the right movements. And so on the flip side of that, at a good CrossFit gyms, a lot of times they have a fundamentals class or an introduction class where you have to go through the introduction and go through the fundamentals to learn the movements before they will let you do anything with any kind of weight. And so
Is that the
one of the
broomstick thing?
yeah, so that's part of it. So like a lot of movements in CrossFit use barbells, and there's some Olympic movements in CrossFit that you do with the Olympic weightlifting. So like a clean and jerk and a power clean and a snatch and all those kinds of things. And if you try to do those with a barbell and a bunch of weight on it right from the get, odds are, if you've never done one before, odds are your form is going to suck and you're going to try to overdo it and you're going to get hurt and you're going to break your back or blow out your knees, right? Odds are something's going to happen where you're going to get hurt because you're just trying to go too hard. But the good CrossFit gyms will put you through a class, a fundamentals class, or they will scale the workouts so that your first movements to do a snatch, your first movement is going to be with a PVC pipe. And that's all you're doing, just to get the positioning down and get the movements down correctly so that you know how to do the movement before you start adding weight. And so to a new person, to answer your question, for somebody new coming in, if they go into a CrossFit gym, the coach, the owner should either have a fundamentals class or have specific introductory assessment training to see where you're at, and then it should be individualized coaching to where they scale your workouts back to the point where it's at your level and not just throw you in with the random class. I mean, they might get you into a class. So if you went to a CrossFit gym today and wanted to work out today, they would ask you about your fitness journey. If you've never worked out, they're not going to turn you away at all, because that's one of the things about the CrossFit community is most of the time it's a very welcoming community and everybody's here to live healthier. And that's what the community is. And so when you come into a gym, whether you're in good shape or you weigh 400 pounds, it doesn't matter. It's very welcoming. And then what a good gym will do is they'll get you into the workout and they'll just scale all of the movements for the day down to something that you can do. So if, for example, for those of you who don't know what I mean by scaling movements, if the movement for the day is squats, then, or here's a better one, because a lot of people have a hard time with it, pull-ups. If the movement for the day is pull-ups and you got to do strict pull-ups, so you just hang on the bar and do pull-ups. Well, if somebody new coming in might not be able to do that. There's a couple ways you can scale it. You can scale that by doing it with a band so that you use the band to make it easier, or you can scale it back to where you're doing ring rows, or you can scale it back to where you're doing bent over rows. And so it's the same idea where you're working the back muscles and doing some type of pulling movement, but a good CrossFit gym is going to figure out where your level is and scale it back to that so that it fits your level. So the new person can come in, brand new first day, get a good workout that actually fits their fitness level. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. So, right, you're right. If you go to a CrossFit gym, I got an idea. I'll give it to you. I volunteered you in my mind for something. But if you go in there, you could sniff out the good and the bad ones pretty quickly, especially if someone just says, "Yeah, just go over there. We're about to get started." You're like, "What?"
Yeah.
So that would be the first thing. Here's the thing I might volunteer you for. For these episodes, I think through Spotify, we're able to attach files like bonus or picture or PDF. What if we create a CrossFit checklist? If people are going to CrossFit, you got to look out
Oh, that's a good
5
idea.
things or 10 things. Nothing too crazy, but just a little checklist and look out for so they're reminded as they go into the CrossFit gym. Okay, this is the red flags. These are the green ones, and I know I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
Or I got to get the hell out of here before they make me snatch 500 pounds on the first set.
Yeah, you should know right away if something feels off and the coach sounds like they're just a bro,
Or
then
if they're on
that's
their
what.
phone the entire time.
Yeah, yeah. You definitely run into that. And the one thing that I will say that it's few and far between though. You don't find that in a lot of CrossFit gyms because more often than not, the CrossFit gyms are just passionate about what they do. And I would say on the whole, the CrossFit community is, I'll say better in the sense of most of the people are all seriously focused on fitness and getting healthier and living healthier. Whereas in the bodybuilding space or just a general fitness, general gym, a global gym or something like that, some people have different goals. Some people have different ways of doing it. Yes, they're all technically focused on fitness, but a more holistic approach to fitness, a more like cutting out all the crap. Whereas sometimes in globo gyms, they're focused on fitness, but they don't mind using crap to get there, if that makes sense. What I'm saying with artificial stuff and not eating a whole foods diet and things like that. And so CrossFit on the whole, the gym owners, the community it's just awesome. It's just an awesome place to be in. And I think I'll probably say some bold statements on this podcast today, but I really think like a CrossFit gym is a great place to find a lot of the things that you need to live a healthier life. And you can find fitness at a CrossFit gym. You can find education at a CrossFit gym because a lot of CrossFit gyms provide education for their members on how to move, how to eat well, things like that. You can find nutritional guidance at a gym. You can find community.
These are all extra premium costs at a regular like LA Fitness or whatever.
Yeah.
To sit down with the personal trainer. They're going to try to upsell you, but essentially this is all kind of baked into CrossFit monthly dues, which they're more than a Globo gym or a Planet Fitness. But what you're describing is if you want to use everything available, it's an incredible value for what you're paying.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's so like that's one thing too that gets kind of a bad rap in CrossFit is the price. People complain about the memberships because the membership it's not outside of the realm to have between $100 and $200 monthly membership. Some gyms in Chicago I've seen are more than $200 a month for their unlimited memberships. And so people are like, well, if I'm going to pay $15 a month at Planet Fitness, or I'm going to pay $150 a month at the CrossFit gym, I'm just going to go with the Planet Fitness. But the trade-off is you're literally getting a personal trainer every class that you do. Then you've got so much more that comes with it, because there's intangibles that you don't even think about. And the community aspect of it is huge. And I think this, from a mental health perspective, is a part of the CrossFit world that people just don't even realize. People that are in CrossFit totally get it, because you instantly have a community with somebody who does CrossFit. Whereas if you go to Planet Fitness, you're probably not making friends with all the people that are there. You're not even engaging. You're going to go in, get your workout, and get out. And for some people,
no. What about the
no.
donuts in the bag? People bond over those.
Yes, that's fair. That's totally fair. But for the most part, people go into the gym, the Globo gym, they get in, they get out, and they don't talk to anybody. In the CrossFit gym, a lot of times you do partner workouts. You have to partner up with people. So it's like, it's almost like
Lab in high school.
well, yeah, kind of. I mean, it's like that. I was going to say like preschool for adults, like daycare for adults, where you get put together with other kids and you play and you have fun and lift things up, and then you go home, right? And so it's kind of like where you get to go make friends. We moved to a new town a year ago, and lo and behold, some of the friends that we've made are from the CrossFit gym. And so like, it's just a community that comes. I went to the chiropractor that has an office right next to the CrossFit gym this morning. And but Steve, here's the thing. No, it's fine, dude. Like, it's a perfect marriage, because it's focused on living healthier, right? And so CrossFit done correctly, you shouldn't be having the crazy injuries that you're going to have, or that gets a bad rap for. You shouldn't have the crazy injuries if it's done correctly. But chiropractors notoriously are focused on just health and wellness, longevity, obviously rehab and fixing injuries and things like that. But it's good to get an adjustment. And then chiropractors will be more into new ways of living healthier and doing laser treatments and all that kind of stuff. And so because the CrossFit and the chiropractors, it's like a perfect partnership.
No, they put them next to regular gyms. I'm just laughing because you weren't even realizing for a second what you were even saying. Is there an ER nearby too? And that strength mall? I can't resist it sometimes.
No, I get it. I totally get it. And yeah, go ahead.
Well, go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say, yeah, it's a good marriage to have the two there, but it's not for the negative reason that it'll get the bad rap for.
I know. I can't. The wrestling can't leave me all the time. I still have to be, even though I'm putting out the positive content. We still.
Hey, that's why I went to see him this morning, not because of CrossFit.
Yeah. Well, I'm not seeing any chiropractor for a while.
Sure.
So off topic. Small minority was wondering, can you get a spine infection from the CrossFit gym?
I don't think so. No. I mean, maybe. Depends on how clean it is. You might be able to get.
Sure. I got to clean my garage gym. That's another thing that's a plus of. We were talking about going to a gym versus the home gym or garage gym. At least they're maintaining it and the equipment there and everything like that. Here's my question. It's kind of a sideways question because we live in 2023.
Mm-hmm.
You're describing the CrossFit gyms in person. You're describing going there. But of course, we deal with a lot of home and garage gym owners in the audience. What's your thoughts on the apps for workout of the day where you can sign up? And I've seen the Tribe or WOD and other ones that I've tried throughout the years. Obviously, you're not getting the instruction, but is what they're presenting in these apps. And I know some CrossFit gyms actually, you get the membership through the app too, not just in person at the gym. So bake that into the $100 or $200 a month as well.
Sure.
What's your thoughts on that as far as somebody trying to follow a CrossFit workout of the day from home with a pull-up bar, push-up, they have an air runner? If they have the equipment in their garage gym, do you think they can still get something beneficial out of starting on their own without the instruction?
Yes, I do. I really do. The one thing you miss out is if you're in the gym, you miss out on the coaching, the specific coaching. So
like
if you
form
don't know how to,
correction and stuff like
right,
that.
yeah, if you don't know how to do a movement and stuff, but a lot of these apps and these that are putting out the daily programming, um, they have video instruction on how to do the movements. And so I think the apps, and I think for a home gym perspective, they're amazing. And being a membership at a gym, you get the membership, you pay the monthly membership. A lot of the gyms will put their programming into an app. So when you log into the app, you have your account, you can see the workout for the day, and then you can go to the gym and do the workout. But if you have a home gym, you can you can just work out at home. And so I think you can get a ton of benefit by utilizing an app. I know there's a lot of big name CrossFit athletes who put out apps or put out their workouts that you can subscribe to their programming. It's become another business tool for athletes for programming and things like that. There's a couple, like the big ones. There's Mayhem Athletes, which is Rich Froning's thing, and then there's NC Fit, which is Jason Khalifa's deal, where they just put out their programming, and then other gyms can subscribe to those, and then people create their accounts and get to see all the workouts. And so you could join one of those programming things and never even have to go to an actual CrossFit gym to do the workouts if you have the equipment at home. The one caution would be that if you're completely new to CrossFit or completely new to the movements, is I would highly recommend getting some kind of coaching and getting some kind of instruction on how to do the movements before you jump in and try to do them completely on your own, whether that's watching a video, doing your research online, and figuring that out, or going to a gym for a month and getting the instruction and then getting back to your home gym now that you know all the movements and stuff.
When we lived in, and this leads to my next question. When we lived in Georgia, there was a gym that I really loved. It had an MMA section. It had
Mm,
the CrossFit section. It had everything:
mhm,
boxing, MMA, weightlifting, bodybuilding, the turf. It was a huge place called X3 Sports, and it
mhm.
cost about 150 a month at the time. And I was like, that's a lot, but I was almost going to join it just because I'm getting trained in MMA and boxing, and I'm working out, and I've got all these things available to me.
Sure.
But it reminded me of a CrossFit gym because of the limited hours, and
Mm,
sometimes they would even shut down throughout the day. So I think that's another just caveat for people that say,
yeah.
okay, well, sometimes I get up at 4 a.m., sometimes I want to work out at 10 or in the afternoon. You really have to look at the CrossFit schedule because it's all
Yeah.
class based.
Yep.
They're not open on all kind of
Right.
24 hours or even from a 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. type of time frame.
Right. Yeah, no, that's definitely a downside to CrossFit, is that you can't just go whenever you want. And in bigger cities, they have way more classes to choose from. But in smaller towns, it's usually, there's 4 classes a day and that's it. That's what you get, and then the gym's closed the rest of the time. And it'll be like a morning class, a lunch class, and then maybe 2 evening classes. And that's all that's going on at the gym that day. And so it is kind of hard in that sense. Some gyms that I've seen now are getting to the point where they can offer 24/7 access through security cameras and through an app. And there's a company that offers that sets it all up for you. So you get like a key card and all that kind of stuff, and you can have access to the gym 24/7. Not a lot of gyms have embraced that yet and gone to it because of the fact that CrossFit is just a coaching thing and the workouts, and there's a safety aspect to it as well, where you just want to have somebody there. But some gyms have embraced the idea of doing 24/7 access. And for me, I think that's great. I think it's awesome. The one trade-off with the negative of the class times, that makes a home gym perspective so that you can make the class this day but not the other day. You have the home gym stuff, you still get the workouts, you can still have the programming and stay on track with the gym. So
Yeah, you're kind of, that's a lot of money on both ends to spend in a way. You kind of
sure.
come up to a crossroads where you're going to be like, okay, I paid for a CrossFit gym, you're talking about a pull-up bar, you're talking about maybe push-up stands, a barbell, some weights, and maybe even a I don't know if you do any kind of benching or anything like that in CrossFit. Do they do that?
Well, see, that's the thing with CrossFit. Like CrossFit, I was talking to my wife about it the other day, and we were talking about how CrossFit is cross functional fitness, right? Like it's a cross training. It's not like CrossFit is this crazy thing. It's the amalgamation of all of it into one. And so you're doing all kinds of different movements. So you'll have not very often do they have bench press, but sometimes you'll have accessory work where you do bench press in the gym, or you'll focus on squats, or you'll focus on Olympic movements, and then you'll run. And it's like cross training, really, but they call it CrossFit, and that's the brand. And so you're focused on some gymnastic movements as well, which most people don't necessarily do. So having a dip bar, dip machines. But the thing that I love about CrossFit from a home gym perspective is it's very minimal with the equipment that you need. You don't need to go buy a whole bunch of equipment. You can get a lot done with just a handful of piece of equipment in a home gym. And at a CrossFit gym, you can get a lot done with just a few pieces of equipment, like the rower and the bike are in most gyms, but there's a lot of gyms who also have, starting out, some gyms won't have rowers, or they'll only have one rower. And then what's cool is you can then program the workouts to fit the equipment that you have. And it's the idea of programming a workout of the structure of it is focusing on the different elements, focusing on gymnastics, focusing on strength, focusing on Olympic movements, and then focusing on your conditioning. And then that's what really kind of makes up the CrossFit piece of the training. And it's just pulling exercises from all different types of fitness and putting them into one to making it CrossFit.
But your garage gym would probably be classified as a CrossFit gym then, because
I could get away with it. Yeah. For an individual person. Yeah.
I get a good amount of equipment. I mean, it's a blessing to have, but I mean, for
Sure.
what you have, you're essentially you're mixing CrossFit and bodybuilding workouts, but the equipment is more than enough for what a CrossFit person would want in their home gym.
Oh, totally. I mean, I have an air bike, I have a rower, I have a squat rack, I have plenty of bumper plates for doing lifting movements, and then I have a jump rope, I have rings that I can hang from my pull-up bar. And so just that alone, but even before I moved into my new house, like at my old house, I had a squat rack, I had a barbell with some bumper plates, I had a pull-up bar, a jump rope, and the rower. I didn't have, I had the bike, but it came afterwards. And so, like, just with that, though, just with those couple pieces of equipment, you can do a lot of workouts. And then I bought a slam ball. That's one of those, a 20-pound slam ball. So you can slam it on the ground. And there's a ton of workouts that you can do. You can do CrossFit with just body weight movements too. It's the idea behind it. It's the methodology behind it of how you structure it. And then the going for as many reps as you can for as fast as you can. That's the competitive piece of it that really kind of makes it CrossFit. The equipment, you could do CrossFit with no equipment. You could do CrossFit with 5 pieces of equipment and have a different workout every single day if you know how to program it and use the movements to leverage the different things that you can do.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm still
Yeah.
scared, but I'm okay.
Well, I mean, that's one of the appeals to CrossFit too. From a gym perspective, that's one of the appeals from an owner, because when you think about it, like if you open up a Planet Fitness, how much equipment do you have to buy? How much equipment do you have to put in there? It's crazy how much you have to do. There's so much overhead from equipment perspective that you could start a CrossFit gym. Like you were saying, I could run technically a CrossFit gym out of my garage. It's a single car garage, and a lot of CrossFit affiliates started that way, where they just got equipment in their garage, and then got bigger to where more people in the community came, and now they had to get a facility, and then they just piecemeal everything in together. And a lot of gyms will have maybe 5 rowers and maybe 5 air bikes, 5 places to squat, and that's really all the equipment that they have, plus the dumbbells and the weights and things like that. And then they'll get some jump ropes, but it's not an insane amount of equipment to have to run a CrossFit gym. And so that's kind of an appeal. There's a simplistic thing to it. There's no machines. That is kind of a functional fitness piece that's good. And so from an ownership perspective, CrossFit is great if you're trying to open a gym, but from a everyday fitness, it's not overwhelming with the amount of equipment that you walk in. Cause a lot of times you'll walk into a CrossFit gym and you just be like, oh, this is it, because there's just a bunch of open space where you bring the weights out and you do the movements and things for the workouts. And it's very approachable when you get in it, for somebody new that maybe is a little scared of the stigma of CrossFit, but then when they get on board, they're like, oh yeah, this is easy. I like it.
Well, speaking of the stigma of CrossFit, as this episode airs on Wednesday, the CrossFit Games are going on for 2023.
Yeah.
Could that have lent something to the stigma of, look at these people like doing this crazy shit? I mean, it's a big moneymaker. I think it's still on ESPN, right? So it's a big moneymaker to be out there every year. But what does that convey to people? Because I've seen CrossFit people actually even come out and say, I don't train like this all year round.
Sure.
So they think now, like 12 months out of year, you're doing all that crazy stuff and everything. And that's what I think may have caused the bigger misconception most recently.
Totally.
And these people with this voice you hear it once in a while, but it's not as prominent to get people to embrace it more and not be intimidated by it. So the word needs to get out more that the CrossFit Games don't represent 12 months a year of CrossFit.
Sure. Well, and so to that point, yes, the CrossFit Games does contribute to some of the negative side effects, because people are not negative side effects, but the negative stigma, because people look at it and are like, man, I can't do that. That's crazy. Why would you do any of that stuff? These people are nuts, and like, that's the number one response that I get from a non-CrossFitter about the CrossFit Games when I talk to them. But think about it like this. You don't watch the NFL and think, man, those guys are crazy. I could never do that. And not go play flag football. Like, you don't equate your flag football that you play on a Saturday, or when you play football with your buddies or whatever, or baseball, like Major League Baseball versus your softball league. You know what I mean? Like, there's two different things. You're looking at the most elite athletes in the sport versus Pee Wee League baseball, and it's just, it's a total difference in the mindset. And so when you can put the CrossFit Games in that space of, okay, this is the elite of the elite in that sport, right? And so they're calling a sport of fitness, and those are the elite athletes. You don't compare the elite athletes to, just the average person playing the sport of fitness. And like the NFL, you're not going to compare your buddy Aaron Rodgers to the high school quarterback. It's not the same. They're not the same. Here's your buddy. You look just like him.
Cameron Poe for Halloween this year. I'm going to do it. I'm finally going to do it. Well, I have to push back a little bit though, because when you do watch the NFL, or even when you watch wrestling, which I think wrestling could be more of an analogy to CrossFit, of, if you want to do this, there's an element of danger for people that don't know what they're doing.
Sure.
But I do feel like too that we watch NFL for entertainment, and we're not trained to do that. CrossFit's a little bit different from what you're saying, because how can I compartmentalize it? I can, because I understand it at this point, but how can somebody that hasn't worked out, doesn't have the experience to know the difference, look at both separately? Because these people are a product of CrossFit, the brand.
Sure.
You walk into a gym, you're going to have those preconceived notions. If you can step through the door, you're going to have your preconceived notions squashed right away. But it's a matter of getting in the car and driving to the gym and going through the door. My question, which I'm eventually getting to, is how can CrossFit differentiate the games from the person, John Smith, that wants to go to the gym?
Sure.
You see, it's not me going, we're playing flag football, but we realize we're not NFL players. But these people are either publicly on the front-facing side, or, how can I say, subconsciously, people think when they see them that, oh, that's a product of CrossFit and they're doing CrossFit and I can't do that. Do you get the analogy is not a one-to-one like football or maybe wrestling to some extent?
Sure, sure. But it is kind of the same in that you watch football for entertainment, you watch wrestling for entertainment, you think you could never do that. The CrossFit Games is entertainment. I mean, it really is when you think about it. Yes, they're doing the same basic things that anybody can do at any level. And we could go play football. People could go have a wrestling match if they wanted to, like in their backyard, they could totally do that, but it's not going to be at the same level of elite athletes that it is in the CrossFit Games. And so I think CrossFit could do a little more to focus on the affiliates and spend more time focused on the affiliate gyms and promoting health and fitness and wellness in the affiliates. And yes, the games needs to be there though. It's like the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is the biggest ticket item and it attracts so many eyes to the NFL. And then that big ticket item brings eyes to the NFL. And then maybe because somebody who had never watched the Super Bowl before watches the Super Bowl, falls in love with the pageantry of it and the game, and it's a great game. And now they become diehard Super Bowl, or they can become diehard NFL fans. And then they fall in love with their local team. And then they wear and support their team and all that kind of stuff. And it's a trickle down effect. So with CrossFit, the CrossFit Games is the big ticket item of like, hey, look at what we can do. Here's the pageantry. Here's all the excitement. Maybe this will help you fall in love with CrossFit. Maybe you can fall in love with the personalities, the stories, whatever there. And now it's a trickle down effect of, oh, you can actually go do the same things that you can do. And that's the one difference between CrossFit and professional sports. You're not going to, it's not as easy to go have a football game. You don't, when you get older, you just don't do that as much, but you can go train to play football, but you can go do the actual things. And there is kind of a cool piece to in CrossFit, at the games, the workout, you can go do the exact same workout that those people competed at the games did and see how you compare to them. And so that's kind of a cool thing and a unique piece to it, given the sport. So the games, in my opinion, does hurt a little from the stigma of, oh, wow, I can't do that. But it helps so much more in like showing what's possible. And then if the affiliates then back that up when you go to your local affiliate, at least making you aware, because a lot of people aren't even aware that they have a CrossFit affiliate in their town. But the games can be the thing that turns them on to it, which then when they get into a CrossFit affiliate, they can totally change their life and live healthier every day because they got plugged in there. So I don't know if that answered a question or anything, but that's just my take on the stigma of the games and this idea that people can never do that.
I think that I don't know if they have it. I haven't watched CrossFit Games in a bit. I'll probably try to watch it this year. I'll do it for you.
There
But
you go.
but there should be some kind of festivities or activities during that CrossFit time to make beginners feel more empowered, or there should be kind of like NFL even has charities where they try to get the word out on being,
yeah,
kind of more of a philanthropy type stuff. I don't know if CrossFit does that, but that
they
would
do. They do. There is
all that stuff on it.
Yeah, there's like a whole lead up to it. So like at the games, it's a multi-day event. So as this airs, it's happening right now, but it's the first week of August and it's a couple days, and they have like a festival and they have all kinds of trainings and educational things and workouts for people to come do. And it's just like a big fitness festival for a couple days.
That's
It's really
still at
awesome.
the LA's Coliseum. I think it was there last year, right?
No, it's been in Madison, Wisconsin for the last couple of
Oh,
years.
I'm sorry. There was something in, I might have been in Strongman one. I'm not sure. I saw something.
Well, but they have regional events to get to the games. And so the way the games, and I'm going to totally butcher this, but the gist is there's an way they call it the CrossFit Open, and that happens in the spring every year. And basically what this is, and this is how they get more people involved, is the CrossFit Open is worldwide. They put out workouts for a couple of weeks and everybody can participate. You and I could sign up for the CrossFit Open and compete to make it to the games, right? So the Open is the start of that. And so if you and I were just insane athletes and decided that we wanted to be CrossFitters, we could start competing in the CrossFit Open, do the workouts. And if we did better than everybody, we could then try to earn a shot to go to the games. And it's all performance based. And so you do the open workouts, and then you do other competitions, and you place well in the opens, get invited to other competitions, so on and so forth. And there's a progression. They change it up all the time. So I'm not super exact in how it was this year, but you earn your invite to the games. Then I think they had a regionals this year. I don't remember. CrossFitters, please don't kill me for not remembering this exactly. But then you, like, the top 10 from the regional then make it to the games from the United States, and then it's a worldwide thing. So based on population in other countries, the top 1 or 2 from that regional will then come to the games and get invited. And then at the games, you have like 40 people, but it all started at a level, like an even playing field where we're all competing in the open. You know what I mean? And so it's really cool how they do that to get more people involved. And it's one of the few places where you can have an elite level sport like that, like a Super Bowl type event of CrossFit, where the average person gets to participate in it as well.
This might be a little bit tougher of a question, but I think people have to ask this when you see elite athletes and people in great shape that look like they're beyond anything that you can achieve.
Sure.
Those CrossFit games, do they drug test? Do they have a wellness policy? Okay.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. And they've had people
get out of control with these people that are already freaks. And then you add that in, it's like, man, I'm never going to be able to do that.
Yeah, I mean, they have a testing policy in place. There's a guy a couple years ago, Ricky Garrard is his name. I think he got 2nd or 3rd at the games, and he tested positive, and they took his 2nd place finish away. And so then he got banned for a couple years. He's back competing now, and so they test him just like they would anybody else. And he's back competing at a high level, but they test for banned substances all the time. I don't know how they do it, or their structure, or how stringent they are, or what, but with anything, there's going to be people that want to cheat, and there's going to be people that don't. And there's going to, from a performance perspective, there's things that you can do, but yeah, they definitely have a drug testing policy in place.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm trying to think of any other questions I might have. I mean, you answered a lot of them, and we are going to do a CrossFit workout together
someday we will.
We need to have my spine fused first. That has nothing to do with CrossFit. That's just in general.
Sure.
Do a whole lot.
Yeah. Well, like my take on CrossFit, and I was talking to my wife about this the other day, and this is for anybody who has a negative viewpoint, or is just getting into it, or has been doing CrossFit for a long time. I really think that CrossFit done correctly, and the whole CrossFit lifestyle, not to sound like somebody drinking the Kool-Aid, but the whole CrossFit lifestyle is the key, or a key, to long-term health and wellness, because done properly.
Please explain that. That's an important part.
Because done properly, CrossFit teaches you body mechanics, teaches you how to move functionally, focuses on full range of movement. So it teaches you body weight control, teaches you all these things that you need to be stronger. All right. And it's going to help you build muscle. It's not like a bodybuilding thing, but you're just naturally going to get stronger and build muscle because of the movements, and because of the community, and because of the care that takes place in a CrossFit gym. Most, not all, right? There's bad actors in every scenario, but most CrossFit gyms are going to care so much about the person getting better, progression. And the way CrossFit is set up is you're constantly looking for progression. And I think getting involved in your 20s and 30s is great, to just look great, right? Like, you're going to look great, feel great. In your 40s and 50s, getting involved to stay feeling healthy, to stay feeling young, to stay feeling good, to stay moving is awesome. Getting involved in your 60s and 70s is amazing, because it's going to help you learn how to be stronger and create a better quality of life over the long haul and into your 80s and 90s. And the more that you can keep moving, and the more that you can scale CrossFit, the more that you can scale functional fitness, the better it's going to be for your long-term health and wellness. And then when you add in to the CrossFit approach to nutrition, it's very simple. Whole foods, right? Like, it's not, you cut out processed crap, cut out sugars, low carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, meat. You know what I mean? Like, those kinds of things are going to help you create long-term health and wellness. So you're hitting it from a fitness perspective, you're hitting it from a nutrition perspective. Then there's a huge focus on mobility and recovery in CrossFit, because you want to be mobile. You want to be able to move. You want to be functionally fit. So that's huge from a recovery perspective. They talk a lot about recovery, making sure you're taking time off. CrossFit gyms build in recovery days in the workout. So you don't
I
do
don't like that. I don't like days off. I can't do that.
well, see, but that's a good thing. You need them. And so the CrossFit gyms focus on recovery as a piece of it. And then you also have a mental health approach to it, because the community that's there. And so for me, like, the fitness world in a small community, a CrossFit gym could come in and totally change that whole dynamic in that community and help so many people in a space live healthier. I've seen CrossFit gyms that they have the stereotypical classes where it's the 20, 30, 40 year olds that come in and they get a great workout in. But the ones that I think that are really having a great impact are the ones that have that longevity class, where they have the 55, 65 plus demographic come in and get a workout in. And the amount of quality of life that they're getting when they do those workouts, we don't even know what that's going to mean in the end, because the more muscle density you have now, the more muscle quality you have now, the better your life's going to be at the end of it. And CrossFit, just the approach is just so good. And I think if you're really looking to have a better quality of life, getting associated with a CrossFit gym, doing CrossFit workouts is a great approach, because of all of the fitness, all the nutrition, all the recovery, all the community, all the things that I just said. I just really think it's amazing what a CrossFit gym can do for you and for a community.
So this is the final and most important question,
Okay.
which, if you know me, knows it's going to be a sarcastic one. I walk into a CrossFit gym.
Uh-huh.
I walk in, I see everybody. I finally see him. Is this the point where Seth Rollins can no longer big league me? Is this it? Is this the time?
Yes, actually.
But
Actually, yes, that would totally get you over with him for sure. I mean, but
all these years.
that, for all of our wrestling fans that are listeners, like, that's what Seth does. He's done CrossFit for years, and that is why, that is a big stamp of approval for the CrossFit training methodology, because look at him and look at the body of work that he's put together in his wrestling career, and look at the shape that he's in, and look at what he's able to do. And, over the course of however many years he's been wrestling, it is a true testament to what CrossFit can do. And I know a lot of other guys that do CrossFit. I know Claudio does CrossFit, that him and Seth used to
Matt
travel.
Cross is another one. Does
So there's a lot of guys that do it. And at the wrestling school, they train them in CrossFit. I just think, we've talked about it before when training in the past episode about training to be a pro wrestler. I thought CrossFit is perfect for that, because it mimics the up and down, start and stop, all that kind of stuff. But just from a quality of life perspective, CrossFit is huge. If you've never worked out a day in your life, you would still benefit from going to a CrossFit gym, because they're going to teach you how to move, teach you how to control your body.
Might be better off, actually.
Yeah, because it's just that personalized coaching, and there's so many upsides to it.
Well, I think that's a great idea, because just like we're wrestling and training and stuff like that, you don't want to get broken in the wrong way. You don't want to have bad habits start. So you're almost at an advantage. If you've never, I think in this day and age, you're at an advantage if you don't have any experience, because no preconceived notions. You go in and you're taught from the ground up. You don't have any chance to make any mistakes or say, well, I'll do it on my own and figure it out. And then you have to unlearn all the bad stuff and relearn the good stuff. So after, this is the final question. So after, I guess, the spine fuses for me, because a lot of stuff I have to avoid is CrossFit centric, talking about hip hinges and things like that. But once that happens, would that be a good next stage or final stage of my road to recovery to get the muscle density, as my testosterone lowers, as my muscles and my joints and everything deteriorate if I don't take care of them? Could I reverse the aging process to some extent with that?
I'm going to say, yeah. I mean, I think it would be a great thing for you to do, because there's so much there's such a progression, because you wouldn't jump into hang cleaning 300 pounds. You would jump into learning to control and move your body again and make sure that you can move before you add any weight. So it's a great way to reteach and move muscles that maybe you haven't. I know, like, there's benefits to all fitness approaches, right? Like isometrics, I know you're a big fan of those. They're great. They're totally great from a rehab perspective. Like, there's lots that you can do. There's lots of strength that can come with that. There's so much good that can come there. There's good with machines. There's good with cable movements, bands, all these kinds of things. CrossFit has a lot of good as well, because you're reteaching yourself how to move. And so focusing on full range of motion, and maybe you can't hip hinge very much right now, but the goal would be to progress that over time, continuing to work to the point where you can get into a full range of motion and not blow out your knees, not break your hips, like you could, and if you can keep that full range of motion into your later years, it's just going to be better. And you're not going to be the 90-year-old person that's hunched over and can't hardly walk, because you're staying active and fit and keeping that range of motion in your joints, in your 50s and 60s and 70s. And then as you progress, it's quality of life it's just awesome. And I just think it's so good from that perspective. And then, to kind of go off in another direction. And since we're talking at the end, not end, but the later in life, we're talking, for high school athletes, the local gym here, Kinetic Grit CrossFit is what it's called. They work with high school athletes. They have a kids class, and they bring in kids, and they're teaching kids how to move and doing all the things. And it's awesome what can be done with a young kid and teach them how to perform better every single day.
I get that. That's a very important thing, because kids going into a gym and just going around and doing whatever, you know what I mean? That
Yeah.
you definitely need guidance there. So having coaching, I'd pay a couple $100 a month if I had a teenage kid and wanted them to work out properly, to go there rather than send them to Planet Fitness.
Totally.
And kids aren't going to listen to their parents. So you put them in a stranger that looks mildly intimidating to teach them.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's totally true. Like, it's such a great thing that they're doing at the gym. And I think with CrossFit, if you can hit all ages, CrossFit Kids is a great thing. CrossFit for everybody. And then into later years, it's just a great thing. And so to sum up the conversation about CrossFit, yes, there's a lot of misconceptions out there about it. There's a lot of negative stigma about it. I would tell you that on the whole, most of that is wrong. Most of that is just exactly that, just a negative perception or stigma that's not accurate. And I would highly encourage you to go check out your local CrossFit gym. Highly encourage you to go find out if it fits for you, if it works for you in your schedule. Give it a shot, try it, because I really do think that approach to fitness and overall health, that's the biggest thing for me with CrossFit. Is it's not just a fit to get jacked. No, this is an overall health and wellness approach. Yeah, we got the games, but it's an overall health and wellness approach on the individual affiliate level. And it would just be incredibly beneficial for you to go try it. And eventually, Stevie, we will get you to try it.
Yeah, I can predict right now that Mike will be on, or sorry, much bigger Mike Behrens, I'll call him. He will be on the thumbnail for episode 21. I don't, if it involves hip hinging or anything.
Shoot.
My wife, that one from the motivation episode, that was a good pick. My wife actually,
it was a great
that picture of Marineland, and that's one of my favorite pictures. Thank you.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was really good. It was really good. So anyway, any other questions before we wrap up on?
Every minute on the minute. Go. I got to know the terminology. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, ask if you had any other questions, but you don't. So we're good.
Not right now. No other memes, no other jokes here. I'm all out right now. I might have the next episode, but
I love it.
Thank you for answering all the questions. Hopefully answered the questions for everybody out there.
Yeah.
And the CrossFit expert here, Mike Behrens, will take us home.
Definitely not the CrossFit expert, but I hope it did give everybody some insight into what CrossFit can do. Definitely has my stamp of approval for a fitness modality for you. So thanks for tuning in this week, everybody. As always, like, comment, subscribe if you can. Give us a review. As a personal ask for me, if you could go subscribe to at Big Mike Behrens on YouTube, that would be great. I'm trying to grow my channel a little bit there. I would not be mad if you would help me out with that. So I appreciate it in advance. For the Big Fitness Show, check the link in the description. Share us. We're available on all audio platforms on YouTube. You can see the shows every single week with Stevie and I talking about Big Fitness Show, trying to help you live healthier as we help ourselves live
I was
healthier.
going to say,
So,
I think if you want shorter clips and not the full show, Mike has clips from
oh yeah,
episodes going up on his channel, so you get a more digestible type of content there.
yes, absolutely. Yep, you can check those out. You can check out our social media profiles, and we post up clips there too as well. Just trying to give as much value as we can to help you live healthier every single day. That's the goal here at the Big Fitness Show. So for myself and Medium Stevie Cool, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next episode. Look at that, jacked.
12 inches, 12 inches in the wrong place.
I love it. All right,
Yeah.
bye everybody.